Hi guys, welcome to my ink and watercolor sketchbook tour. This sketchbook took me about 9 months to complete. I started it in December 2023 and I completed it in August 2024. This is a Strathmore watercolor sketchbook in a landscape form. It is cold press paper. One side is a little bit more textured and grainy, and then the other side is a bit more smoother. And for the cover, I've just decorated it with some leftover stamps I had from scrapbooking. So let's just dive straight into it. The first page of a sketchbook can always be quite intimidating. You feel like you have to make it perfect. An easy way to overcome this is to just simply sketch out your materials. So this is my etchr watercolor set. Um, this is really useful because it works as a nice reference for your colors. I've labeled all the paints, and then when I'm following along with tutorials and they need specific colors, I just look back at this page, find out what paint is where, and then use it. But I have found that over time I've become more familiar with the positions of each color and I don't need to look at it as much as before. These are some more sketch supplies. I started using my Sailor Fude fountain pen in here with the platinum carbon ink. I really like how black and bold the pen work is, and it's very loose and sketchy, which I like. These are some more pens. I like to do my sketches in light pencil first and go over with ink. And then at the end, I like to use a white gel pen for some highlights too. This was a nice little evening I spent with my neighbor's niece. She wanted to learn how to use watercolor, so we went over some basics and then did this very simple scene with trees and a little sky and then some birds as well. This one is a little travel sketch I did. I'm quite proud of myself because it's always nice when your paintings are attached to a personal memory. This was a road trip that we took. This is a beach resort in Ras Al Khaimah, and then my coffee that I had in a cafe that morning. I find the thought of travel sketching a little bit stressful. I feel like, oh, maybe I don't have enough time for this, or I have to be mindful with the person that I'm traveling with. But honestly, it was quite quick and it forced me to loosely capture a scene, and it just helps with building confidence. This one is from an artist I follow. His name is Max Romy. He's based in Alaska and he did a trailbound sketching series with 24 small illustrations. A lot of his work is inspired by his surroundings in Alaska, which I really like because you'll see lots of mountains, green trees, forests, lovely landscapes with like snow-capped mountains, seascapes, things like that. And he uses very bold, vivid colors too. These are some more trailbound sketches. I'm not keen on sketching animals. Find them quite difficult to draw, especially the closer they are because you have to do more detail. These birds, I like how they came out because they're quite from far away. The squirrels, I'm okay with. However, the fox, I feel like that's not my best work, but it's okay because I try not to be too precious with my sketchbook. If there's something I don't like, it's fine. I just start a new page. I still try to complete the drawing because you can learn a lot from it, or sometimes it does pull together at the end, but nevertheless, this is a reflection in the water. I found this quite challenging to draw as well. It's something I'd like to practice more on and hopefully can look back one day and see the improvement. This one is a nice festive spread. I followed an artist on YouTube called Emma Jane Lefebvre. She did an advent calendar series where each day of the month she had a little watercolor illustration. I did this after she published the whole series, so I went back and saw the 4 images that I felt like worked best in a spread. I picked them out, I sketched them, and then I added my own typography and bold ink marks just to make it a little bit more personal. I always think it's nice that even if you're following along with a tutorial, to just do something that makes it a little bit more personalized and yours. And then this is again from her Advent calendar series. I picked out 3 leafy illustrations and then a bird perched on a branch. I feel like they worked quite well together. And then some more festive sketches. Again, I tried to pick out like whatever images had a lot of red and green in them. It's just a bit more cohesive on the spreads. And then some trailbound sketches from Max Romy again. People also, animals and people, they're quite challenging to draw for me. The further they are, the less detail you need. So you can kind of get the gist that they're people. This one's a little bit more closer. Um, not too pleased with how the person turned out, but nevertheless, it's still fine. It's good to practice. And then this is by one of my favorite artists on YouTube. Her name is Cal Becky. She sketches a lot of her everyday life, the food she eats, the scenes from her windows and her walks. Um, so I really like her style. She uses ink and watercolor, and I feel like a lot of my work is definitely inspired by her. This was also some of Max Romy's tutorials. This wasn't in the Trailbound Sketching series though. I'm not too pleased with these spreads. I don't know if you can tell, but this is basically a bird's eye view of a husky sleigh on ice that's cracking, and then on the other page is a similar scene but from a different angle. His work was a lot nicer, so this really doesn't do it justice. But it's okay. Like I said, let's try not to be too precious with the sketchbook. It is just a nice learning moment. And then here's some more food illustrations inspired by Becky. I'm not too pleased with that composition, but it's okay. This one was from a YouTube tutorial, Urban Sketching Buildings for Beginners. This was a nice, easy one because it's just from a 1 point perspective angle. Um, there's so it was just easy to follow, and that was just some sketch supplies. Just quick practice of sketching windows. I didn't get around doing this in watercolor. And then this was a little bit different from my everyday sketching. This was by Becca Hill Illustration from her Patreon. She went on a walk and sketched her scenes. Some were with a wider perspective, some were more zoomed in and detailed. And this is her little dog, super cute. And then I tried to do my own one of this from things in the living room. So this was candle stands, my daughter's milk bottle, a pot of tea, and then the TV unit. And then these are some like abandoned, roughed up houses against like an eerie, empty scene. I followed these on YouTube by a man called Peter Sheila. I really like his work as well and want to follow along with more of his tutorials. I like this kind of style. It's like an eerie kind of look to it. I didn't actually like how this one turned out at the beginning, the one that's more in like a sunset landscape. I thought, this is just not going the way I wanted it to go. But looking back at it, I'm actually happy with how it turned out. I find that a lot of paintings they go through a very ugly phase, but they pull through at the end. Some more food sketching tutorials. I love how this croissant looks. You can almost see how crispy and flaky it is. A coffee and some pancakes with blackberries on top. I love sketching food. I want to be able to, in my new sketchbook, hopefully sketch out the things that I eat daily. So just following along these tutorials just help me build up on that confidence. Some fruit here, and this one is actually my favorite page because of the reason that everything that I've painted on this page is using reference photos from Google rather than following another art tutorial. It's just a lot more satisfying when you make your own art from scratch. So I like doing tutorials because it builds my confidence. But I hope that in my new sketchbook, I can do a lot of my own work, either based on reference photos that I've chosen or real life observation. And fruit is always a nice one to sketch when you're not sure what to do because you get to use some really nice colors and work on the shadows and highlights and learn from it as well. These are some sketches I did practicing for Inktober, just warming up. I think the first few prompts are backpack, discover, and boots. So I like the cohesive color palette that I've done, and I'm going to try to do something similar in October. Some more food sketching, again, some fruit, it's always a nice go-to, and then some cookies I did. This was by a YouTuber called Nyani, and then some more trailbound sketches. This is a diver in an underwater cave exploring, and then this is a little guy on a hike. Again, I love the bright, bold colors. And I really like sketching cups of teas and coffees. I find mugs always difficult. I find the handles quite difficult to draw. But by drawing the same thing over and over again, you really get to learn and become familiar with the subject and see something new each time as well. And then a nice little sweet treat to go with it. Again, some tutorials by Nyani. I did those cookies again, and some strawberries. I like how in her tutorials you go over the basic sketches, the shapes. So learning how to do the body of the strawberry, the leaf, and then the sketch all together. Then she tells us which colors we need, and then we go on to do the final sketch. These cookies that I did, I can already see an improvement from when I first did this tutorial. I can see that the paints got quite muddy when I was mixing the colors in this one. And then when I did it again, it's just so much more cleaner. So that's another nice thing about keeping a sketchbook. As the pages progress, you can see that you are slowly improving. This also was a tutorial by Nyanyani. She goes over the basic shapes, the angles, and then I did these ones first, and I thought they came out okay. Um, and then I like to do the same thing over and over again to improve. So this is what I did again the second time. And I feel like this was already so much nicer than the first time that I sketched the blueberries. So these were all the second attempt and there was significant improvement. And this was the third attempt and I just felt so much more confident. I kind of made it a little bit my own, just more bolder and confident brush strokes and ink marks. And I did a tutorial on this as well. This was my own cookies, so based off the tutorial I learnt from Nyanyani, I picked out my own reference photo. I did this myself, and this was just much more rewarding and satisfying. Same with these leaves and berries. These were my own reference photos from Google. This one was a tutorial, the stack of cookies. And I love this kind of yellow ochre, burnt sienna color palette, especially coming into fall or autumn. I'm hoping to use these kind of colors a lot more. And this was my own almond croissant that I sketched from my own observations. And like I said, when you have your own personal story behind a sketch, it's just much more satisfying and rewarding. And it just means a little bit more than the other sketches that I do from following tutorials. And this one was an urban sketching for beginners tutorial by Sketching Scotty. This was quite a complex looking scene, which was quite overwhelming, but he really broke it down well to simplify it. And he used very simple, just a couple of colors, but I feel like it works so well together. And you really capture the gist of the scene. I'm hoping to do a lot more urban sketches and sketching from my own observations in my new sketchbook as well. So I'm looking forward to when that arrives. And yeah, I really enjoyed working in this sketchbook. I hope you guys enjoyed this video too and found it useful. It's just lovely to see the progressions as you go on with the pages. So it's another one to put away on the shelf and then start a new one. And hopefully I can see the progress in my new one as well. Um, so yeah, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Take care and I'll speak to you all soon.